Pittsburgh Steelers fans, what's going on? This is Jeff Hartman of BehindTheSteelCurtain.com for another episode of the Steelers preview as we get you geared up for the Pittsburgh Steelers Week 6 game at Acrisure Stadium against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tommy Boy is coming back, Tom Brady, and we're going to talk about that and a lot more on this episode. Joining me as always, Dave Schofield. What's up, Dave?
Hey, I'm here. It's another week. It's another chance to get a win. We'll see if it can happen.
And Bryan Davis. What's up, Bryan?
Hey, I am just call me Neil Young. I'm rocking in the free world, and I'm feeling it this week with the unoriginal TB12 coming into town.
Yes, Tom Brady. Let's start off talking about the old ageless wonder, 45 years young, and he is still slinging the rock. Like, my gosh, you watch some of these throws he makes. I mean, he still has it. Like, he's not some. I think about Brett Favre back in his waning years, and he was kind of like a shell of what he once was. That definitely does not look like Tom Brady. But I want to ask you all. This is kind of football related in terms of villains for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Where does he rank for you all on that list in the villains of the Pittsburgh Steelers? Or does he even fall on that list? Dave, we'll start with you.
Well, how many episodes was it ago where you had to answer? It was a few weeks ago where you had to answer a question on Let's Ride about your top five, like most
that was in the division.
Most hated division rivals or division players. I will tell you, Jeff, as soon as that question came off, I'm listening to the show and I thought of mine 5 in a row, boom, who they're going to be. And I'm like, man, Jeff nailed that. It was the exact same 5, exact same order, and you did it. So when you think of those kind of things, TB12 is not to that level for me, but he could be in the mix with those division guys that you couldn't stand, even though they're not in the same division, because it's just been such a long time that the Steelers have been having to deal with him. I mean, now he's not even in the same conference, but yet the Steelers have to deal with him coming to Pittsburgh one more time.
What about you, Bryan? Where does Tom Brady fall on your villain list?
Yeah, I'd have to put it together. I'd probably say maybe 7 or 8, but down in the top 10. Bill Belichick's gonna, be ahead of him because it was really Bill Belichick who was the guy and not Brady as much. Because remember, it wasn't Tom Brady that beat you in the AFC Championship game in 2001. It was Drew Bledsoe, and it was Bill Belichick who was spygating it. So, I still think he's a brilliant coach. I still contend that if you love Chuck Noll, then you've got to respect Bill Belichick. But we're not talking about Belichick this week. We're talking about Tom Brady, and I'm just going to say, I don't mind him as much now that he's on the Buccaneers. I rooted for Tampa Bay over Mahomes in Kansas City because I've got a thing against Andy Reid, and I did not want to see Kansas City win 2 in a row. And I even did that with a team with Antonio Brown on the team. I even still rooted for Tampa. So he didn't bother me as much. If I'm talking about all-time villains, it's probably Vontaze Burfict's up there for me, number 1. And, Belichick's a little higher, but, Brady's got to be in there because he's just big brother that is always beating you down.
Well, you have to commend Bryan that he got in the Drew bled so much he needed a transfusion, dropped in there. I don't know if you remember that from the old ESPNU commercial. With that's a trick question. Drew Bledsoe has no nickname.
I remember that now. That
back when ESPN was good.
Yes, it was a long time ago. So for me, Tom Brady, he's definitely in the top 10. I have grown to hate him more in the last 5 years. You almost had to respect because the guy just is so good. Like, that's what was annoying. It was annoying as an annoying hatred because he would come to Pittsburgh. He would be unfazed by the crowd. He would just dink and dunk, pick you apart. It was just annoying. But then you find out about all this extra stuff, and he has this image that he's this golden boy and he's perfect. And that was Belichick that cheated, like Bryan mentioned. And you're finding out about the Patriots funneling money to Brady through the TB12 Foundation. And all those times they said he's taking a pay cut, said that he can keep the team together. Yeah, that's shady. Then you find out about the business about how Brady was going to retire and become a part owner and player of the Dolphins. And I'm like, No one's
wasn't
talking
even
about
a vote
this.
with Brian Flores? Wasn't there something?
That was
yeah.
why Flores got fired. They were going to bring Sean Payton in. Tom Brady was going to be the quarterback. He was going to be a minority owner of the Dolphins and be the quarterback of the team. And then everything went haywire. That's even gone all the way to Bruce Arians and his awkward retirement. This story was brushed under the rug so much, and he is a scumbag. Tom Brady is a scumbag. He is a dirtbag scumbag, botched Botox, divorce lawyers, all of it. Scumbag. I can't stand the guy now, and he doesn't even play in the conference anymore. He's everything that's wrong with the National Football League. He tries to do it all himself. I can't stand him. Can't stand him. It kind of reminds me of the Seinfeld episode where Costanza, and he goes, can't stand you. Can't stand you. That's what he is for me. So you all
was it Tropic of Cancer or Tropic of Capricorn, right?
You all can chime in on that if you want about the Brady stuff. I can't stand Tom Brady. Yeah. His image and what he actually is cannot be further from the truth.
Well, the thing is with Tom Brady as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan is ever since he went to Tampa, you don't have to care about him nearly as much. You really don't. This is the first time and probably the only time that they're going to have to play him in, as part of the Buccaneers. So it's a one-time thing once he was gone that you could just almost kind of forget about him the rest of the time, which has been kind of nice.
Yeah. Bryan, anything?
You brought up Seinfeld. Instead of I hate the Drake, I hate the braid. Oh, I hate the braid. But I'd like to break some news, and every once in a while I could break some news, but a lot of people don't know this. You've talked about Tom Brady and shady stuff. Well, I've got another one that a lot of people don't know about, but unfortunately, Tom Brady's been dead for 7 years. He's a cyborg, and, brought to you by Skynet, and he's not alive. He's a machine at this point. He's really just like, if we can get somebody to just cut him under the face mask, he won't bleed. You'll just see some metal. And that's all it is. So,
and that's why they had to call that penalty against Atlanta, because they thought maybe he would start, malfunctioning, and, getting up and walking backwards. I'm trying to think of, what was that old TV show where it was a robot and they accidentally hit the remote and made him rewind really fast? I can't remember.
I'm not sure, but pretty soon on the press conference, we're going to hear on a press conference that
was the end of Austin Powers, or the beginning of Austin Powers 2. That's what it was.
Yes, correct.
That's what. Sorry,
nailed it.
Yeah.
Instead of hearing, we gave it all we got, and we're going to take it 1 week at a time, you're going to hear beep boop boop. That's going to be Tom Brady pretty soon.
I mean, can you think of any other player in the NFL that could step away from the team from 2 weeks and it just be like a little footnote anywhere? I mean, come on. This is a super. He's like, I'm leaving for 2 weeks. I'll be back. Don't worry. And everyone's like, oh, okay, Tom's just taking some time. What? Come on. This is ridiculous. Anyways. All right. So enough Tom Brady talk. We'll be talking about him on the football field as we get you ready for the Tampa Bay game coming up. But the Steelers' approach to this game in Week 6, I think, is unique. And it's not unique to the Steelers because they've lost 4 in a row. They're 1-4. We know things are, it's bad. There's no other way around it. It's bad right now. But they literally have nothing to lose in this game. Like Dave Schofield always says it. Go ahead and say the quote, Dave, at the end of the Waterboy.
Last game of the season, or last game of the year. Can't hold anything back.
This is one of those, you lost 4 in a row. Don't hold anything back. That's the way I feel about this game. The Steelers should go into this game with a little bit of a, they have nothing to lose. Tom Brady and the Buccaneers are coming in, and that poses some issues in a lot of ways. When you look at the Steelers injury report that we will, that poses an issue. When you talk about their defense, that poses an issue. But I want to ask you all to start this thing off. Where is your mind right now in terms of the Steelers and their chances this Sunday? Don't get into predictions or anything like that. Just where's your mental space right now? Dave, we'll start with you.
Mental space is, it doesn't matter who they are playing. If they're down 4 or 5 players in the secondary again, I'm not sure what they're going to do to piece it together.
That secondary is it's rough. Bryan, what about you heading into this game? How are you mentally?
I'm kind of numb to it all, but there's this one thing that keeps on making me think that they've got one of those upsets in them. I mean, I understand this very well could be a 5-12 team, and I'm not discounting that, but this is not a 1-16 team. They're going to piece together a couple like they did in 1988. There's going to be possibly at the end of the season to tick everybody off like they did in 88, go 3 of their last 4 and ruin draft position when a guy like Barry Sanders and Troy Aikman and Derek Thomas and Deion Sanders is up ahead, and you take home a guy like, well, I don't even remember his name, Tim Worley. So all I'm going to say is I just think that they're not dead yet, but I really, it's hard to predict a win here, even though I said I was going to, and I'm not doing the prediction now, but they're beat up. But it's coming. The storm's coming.
I'm with you, Brian. There's a part of me that, and I actually said, I think they're going to win 1 game before the bye week, and I wouldn't be shocked if they found a way to win 2. And that's crazy talk. That is crazy talk when you think about it. But Dave, I listened to your Stat Geek this week. You laid it out in the Mike Tomlin era. When they lay an egg and they get beat bad, what do they typically do the next week?
Score points.
And they win more than they lose.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is with Mike Tomlin. They got their what's handed to them last week. I got a feeling they're going to bounce back. And I'm not saying that they're going to win. Actually, yes, I am, because I always pick the Steelers. But anyways, besides that, Dave, what are we going to say?
Well, what I also brought up with that podcast is that's under Mike Tomlin. The question that we're going to ask ourselves is, was that a Mike Tomlin thing, or was that a Ben Roethlisberger thing? And that's what they're going to be going out there and showing us this weekend. Is it Mike Tomlin, or was it merely a Ben Roethlisberger carrying the team thing?
Let's go to the other side of the docket here. And let me ask you, this is bringing Brady back into it, but someone in the live chat even said, when was the last time that happened against Brady? I get it. Tom Brady's owned the Steelers for a long time, but does he have the same aura about him in Tampa Bay to you that he had in New England? Dave, we'll start with you.
No, it's just it was the Brady Belichick I was starting to say Belichick. Brady Belichick combo that really seemed like it was the bigger issue. And with him going to Tampa, like I said, you kind of gotten a bit to forget about him for a couple of years. Yeah, you had to watch him play in the Super Bowl and stuff again, but really week in and week out, it was, I don't really care what they're doing. But where for all those years, when you had to pay attention. Well, what's New England do? Where are they going to be? Yeah. Or are they going to have the home field advantage through the playoffs and things of that nature? And now it's just not as much. It doesn't seem the same because I haven't followed as intently because it didn't matter as much to the Steelers.
Brian, what about you? Is that aura still there?
It's fading, but it's still there because it's Brady, and the luster's never truly going to go off of this thing because you could call him a lot of things. You could call him a cheater. You could call him a crybaby. You could call him everything you want, but he's still finding a way to survive, not just survive, thrive, get it done. I mean, he's doing stuff that we never thought we'd see. I never thought that he would win a ring in Tampa. I really didn't, but he does not have a 14-3 season in him anymore. He's going to be more of a 10-7 at best type of player right now, because and that team's not the same either. But I'm going to talk about this later in my final thoughts. But that game, what happened last week with him, is going to be very interesting to see how it's handled going forward. And I'll just leave that as a teaser.
All right. I want to shift gears a little bit. I want to focus on the Steelers for a second. And comments that, I put this in the Slack, in our random Slack channel. I think it was yesterday. I'm writing an article. It's going to run at 7:00 on Friday morning about Kenny Pickett and his confidence in the system and the confidence as a Steeler quarterback. It's growing. He's the second week actually getting full reps and stuff like that in practice. He had some quotes, and I thought these quotes were very telling. I talked about this on my Let's Ride podcast, which will be debuting on our audio side Friday morning, 5 a.m. Check it out wherever you get your podcast. But I wanted to get Dave and Brian's take on this because I don't know if I'm reading too much into this or if you are reading this the same way. I'm going to read you one quote at a time, and I want to get your take on it. Then I'll read you the second one. Here's the first quote. This is from Kenny Pickett's media availability, which happens every Wednesday. That's the quarterback day, Ken's day. And then on, we'll go one quote at a time. So here we go. Quote, I felt like today was a lot cleaner from a timing standpoint and in assignment. I think our guys really did a good job of studying the game plan and being more focused, something that we've been talking about, having less missed attempts and getting guys in that right spot. So really happy with the first day of work so far. End quote. That was Kenny Pickett. Dave, you hear that quote. You read that quote because I know you saw it on the Random Channel. Your thoughts were what?
My thoughts were this. People like to say this phrase of practice makes perfect. Anyone who's ever coached knows that that phrase is false. The correct phrase is perfect practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
Just practicing, but practicing sloppily can actually hinder you. When I would be training everything with college, in high school, college, for shot put, there would be a point in practice where I had made so many throws and I was really trying to hit a mark or work on something that I actually started hindering what I was doing because I wasn't doing it properly because of that. If you're not going to do it proper in practice, you can't just expect it to then run well in a game. I have a feeling that's what Kenny Pickett was really saying there, is that they haven't been worried about the crispness in practice like they should. That's what I take away from it. I don't know what else he was trying to say other than that.
Brian, what do you hear when you hear that quote?
First of all, I think that there was a come to Jesus moment with in the locker room. I kind of almost think that that scene in Bull Durham, one of the greatest movies ever, when the manager throws the bats in the shower.
Lollygaggers.
Yeah. Nothing but lollygaggers. So I kind of feel like that happened. In translation to Kenny Pickett, we, meaning me, but my receivers better get their crap together or they're not going to be here too long, because we got to quit messing around. I'm trying to censor myself because I want to say a whole lot different words. We got to quit screwing around here and get it together and quit blowing off practice and lollygagging. I like that, lollygagging, and got to start putting the effort in. And I think this is the first practice that they finally realized that the light might have come on, that they got to get it together. And I think Kenny Pickett is one thing about Kenny Pickett. I think he's kind of a guy that he believes in accountability. I think he's one that has no problem telling a Chase Claypool, a Deontay Johnson, anybody that's been there a long time, hey, it's time to get it together.
Okay, I'm going to hold my comments till after I read the second quote. So here's the second quote, same media availability, a couple questions later. Here's what Kenny Pickett says, quote, I'm focusing on all the guys. There are certain plays that you're probably going to get a certain look where you want to get that rep in practice. That's something I definitely try to communicate to the guys, like, quote, hey, I'm looking at you first here. Let's get a full speed rep at it. So the first time we get it isn't in a game, end quote. Dave, anything to add?
That just backs up the other statement.
Yeah.
It just specifies it.
So okay. Brian, thoughts on that before I go into anything?
Translation. If you want me to continue throwing you the ball, you better be serious in practice, and we're going to get it right. So we're not just trying to make up stuff during a game.
So right off the bat, I'm not reading too much into this, am I?
No,
these are damning statements. Am I right?
No, this is a put up or shut up type of stuff that's now in the locker room, and it's saying that, hey, if we don't prove now, I mean, there's going to be Armageddon if you continue to screw around. And I think there's finger pointing. You want the truth? I think Kenny Pickett is pointing fingers at Deontay Johnson and maybe Chase Claypool.
I don't know that was as much of a pointing fingers thing as because, come on, think about it. Kenny Pickett's getting ready to make his second career start. I don't think that was his intention, but I think it should be the message. I think his intention is I want to make sure that I'm paying attention to, to the details and everything in practice. And I want that to trickle down to everyone. I think that's what he meant by it. But I'm not saying that's not how it came across the way Bryan was saying it.
To me, it's not a finger point. This is a damning statement on the state of the offense, the coaching staff, even Mitch Trubisky, because if a rookie, and I don't care if he's 24, I don't even know how old he is, 24 years old, I think.
He's 24.
Even if a rookie, he's coming into the huddle, and you've already heard other comments from other players saying, if you're not doing what you're supposed to, you're going to get that look from Kenny. And he's demanding their respect, and he's getting their respect. Don't you think that when he got up and shoved Shaq Lawson, he didn't get their respect? And now all of a sudden he's saying, we're not practicing at a high enough level. How damning is it that a rookie has come in and is now saying that this isn't good enough? I just don't get it. I can't get it. And I know our own KT Smith, he responded in the random channel and said, this is as much about Tomlin as it is anyone else. You are letting these guys go through the motions. You're letting them just kind of slapstick their way. We'll put it that way. I'm trying to be as PG as Bryan is. You're not letting them just kind of like go through the motions. That's not winning football. And so I'm glad that Kenny Pickett is hopefully saying these things, and I hope the players buy in. They need someone to lead that offense. We talked about it this offseason. Who's the leader on the offense? The answer was no one. No one. With Ben gone, there was no leader. We hoped that James Daniels would when he came in. I'd say that, yeah, he has been for the offensive line. Najee's a captain. Not sure if he's that guy, though, especially when he's not playing well. Is it a rookie? Man, come on. Like, I'm sorry, maybe I am blowing this way out of proportion, but for me, I read those quotes and I said, you've got to be flipping kidding me. This team scored 3 points last week, and he's telling guys to run full speed in practice. What are they doing in there? And what are the coaches doing? I don't get it. Bryan, anything to add?
Yeah, you know what? I keep on going back to after that Minnesota game where the Steelers, I'm talking 2021, and when the Steelers, just got off to a horrible start, and you have shenanigans from Claypool. And let me just say this. I don't think Claypool is the devil that a lot of people think he is. I don't. But when you come out with a comment, and the comment is, hey, we should have music in practice. And then this year, just after last week, on Monday, you hear Deontay Johnson say, hey, y'all keep coming back. You're all going to be watching, something like that. And that leads me to say that there are some guys that are dogging it in practice. And maybe it's not those guys. Maybe I'm reading too much into this. But Kenny Pickett is doing everything he can to be the leader of this team, and he is not going to let complacency go down with him. Take him down. Now, I'll say this. We go back to 1988, completely different sport, but it happened right around this time, and it was Kirk Gibson hitting that major home run in Game 1 of the World Series, limping in. But something happened in spring training of that year. Somebody put eye black on the rim of his hat in spring training. He put it on. He had black all over him. He went nuts. And the reason he went nuts is because this is not a serious team to do stuff like that. Ribbing and stuff, no. We're here for business, and we are going to be, I'm new here, but we're a business team. And I kind of think of Kenny Pickett that way, of pretty soon starting to take over and saying it's time down to business.
Dave, anything to add?
Yeah, when you look at this, and we're saying about, was he calling them out? Are they not working hard in practice? It could be that sometimes it's just a sense of urgency. When you're in a game, you have that sense of urgency of you need to come through on this play. You need to make the play. You've got to do everything you can. Attention to detail throughout the game. And the Steelers are lacking that. The pre-snap penalties, the not being set or properly aligned, the false starts, things of that nature. But if you're in practice, it's kind of one of these things. If you're a coach, just everyone else, imagine that you're a football coach right now. and I'm going to ask you this question because I've dealt with this before. If you go to run a play and your offensive, I'm going to blame it on the guard because then people are going to start talking about the Steelers tackles and we're just not going to do that. And let's say the guard flinches. The guard flinches. And then you go to run the play. Do you whistle it dead or do you want to see how they worked out on that play anyway? Think about that. Because if you still say, well, we still had a play we were going to run, we might as well at least get a rep in. Do you really want that mentality of, well, in practice, if you don't get everything right, it's all right because it's just practice. We're talking about practice. Practice, man. Practice. If you don't do it in practice, how do you expect to suddenly be able to do it in a game? So it's just kind of that mentality. Do you let that rep go or do you whistle it dead and you start from the beginning and you get the play right across the board? It's tricky. And it's one of those things, but maybe that's exactly what Kenny Pickett said. Hey, I'm still not going to run it if two players go in motion at the same time and realize that they messed up and then they reset for us to run this play. No. Get it right. Did say, well, you know what? We ran the right route. The ball wasn't quite there. He didn't quite come down with it. Oh, well. Kenny's almost saying that if we're not going to run it this way in practice, then that's not where I'm going to look in a game. And that's really the attitude you should have. The question is, why is this different from everything else that's been going on?
Yeah. And by the way, I would whistle to play dead. Just to
yeah.
answer your question. All right, let's move on from this. If you want to hear more of my take, you can check out Let's Ride. But in the meantime, let's get to our injury report. Dave, it is lengthy. Go ahead. Why don't you read off who's
yes. Oh, you mean the injury report? Yes. Here we go. Steelers.
Yes.
Well, should I say Wednesday or just go?
Playing Sunday?
Yeah, I know. I'm like, it's so much. I don't know where to start.
Just go. The Steelers go Thursday.
Okay, just
make sure you mention what they were on Wednesday, and I'll help you out.
That's the thing. So we got. I'm just going to go in order that they were. Deontay Johnson, hip injury, was limited Wednesday, full Thursday. I don't think that he's much of a problem. Cam Sutton and Ahkello Witherspoon, both hamstrings. They don't have the groin listed for Sutton anymore. Both hamstrings. Both did not practice Wednesday or Thursday.
That's not good.
That's not good.
Nah.
Levi Wallace, concussion, did not practice Wednesday, limited Thursday. So it really comes down to Friday for him. Terrell Edmonds, full participant, both days. Things are looking good for him, but it's still, it's still got to keep going. Minkah Fitzpatrick, knee, didn't practice either day. I'm worried about that one, but Mink is also the guy that I wouldn't be shocked if, he shows up where he practices on Friday and then he doesn't have a game status. I don't know. Montravius Adams, hip, didn't practice Wednesday, full on Thursday. Good news. Mason Cole said on Monday when he came in a walking boot that he was going to be fine for the game. 2 days of not practicing. Didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday. I'm going to skip one. I'm going to go to Larry O with his back. Didn't practice either day. He's a guy hasn't been with the Steelers long, but he's been around the league for a long time. Friday will be the key. If not, you're finally going to get to see your helmet with Isaiah Loudermilk. The one that I skipped, Pat Freiermuth, concussion. Said on Wednesday, did not practice. But there was video of him doing drills with the rest of the team. So the question is, are the Steelers just still that incompetent, just like they were on Tuesday with the press conference? Were they trying to downplay it or whatever, but got busted with it? Or was it really another clerical error? But they fixed that, I think around 7:30 p.m. On Wednesday, that they fixed it, that they moved him from didn't participate to limited. He was also limited again on Thursday. But, you don't see a lot of video from practice during the season. I wonder if that beat reporter that shared that video is not in very good graces with the Steelers right now. And I also wonder what really had to go down for them to actually change that. So,
well, they're allowed to film individual parts, like the individual workouts. You see this around the league. Aaron Rodgers today on Thursday, everyone had video of him just throwing simple passes because of his thumb injury. Like that's a league standard policy. Now the Steelers might not like it, but the policy is the guy that shared this from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette did not break any rules. And it was just the Steelers. I think they're just completely incompetent. It's a clown show organization from you could say it coaching if you want to, but I'm not talking about the football players and the team. I'm talking about the organization. They can't even stream a press conference. They've made how many mistakes on the injury reports, depth charts, you name it.
And you know what? That goes right back to like being precise at practice. If you're not going to really take pride in what you're doing as an organization, even in the front office when it comes to these things, then this is just the mentality that you get in. Well, it just doesn't matter. Do you think Dan Rooney, Bryan's a great one to ask this. Do you think Dan Rooney would put up with these things of training camp, supposedly having press conferences that were going to be covered and then they were never streamed, having all these issues there, the multiple clerical errors? How do you think Dan Rooney would have handled that, Bryan?
Dan Rooney was a true professional. He really was. No, he would have not handled this at all. He was he looked like a sweet old man, just like his dad did, but he was a businessman and he was an architect. And when he spoke, you got it right. And he was one of those guys that if he walks in the room and says, this gets fixed, you better fix it because you don't want to see what's on the other end of it. And part of it might be is like, I don't want to disappoint this guy. That's how I would be Dan Rooney, but you better fix it. And really right now this is, man, when Jeff says something like this is a clown show of an organization, that does two things to me. It pisses me off, but not at Jeff. I can't believe what happened to my football team. When I say my football team, the team I've been around for a long time, they're doing jokey stuff that the Bengals would do. There's no attention.
The Browns.
The Browns, yes. Yeah. I mean, it's really weird. I mean, it seems like it's just, oh, hey, we got to get this done. Not, hey, if we're going to do it, we better do it right.
Yeah, and to me, it's that attention to detail. If you're not making sure the attention to detail was coming through as just an organizational thing when it comes to media, when it comes to various other things of that, then what makes you think they're putting attention to detail in practice? It kind of is a mentality that comes from the very top down. And it's very disappointing. And some people are like, who cares about the press conference to stream right? Who cares if they had to switch the injury report? It's those kind of things. It's those little things that you just allow within the organization at all. I mean, when you step in and you know that is a very tight ship that you are dealing with everything that they do, that's what's always set the Steelers apart. You're not seeing that in a lot of things right now. Sorry, we're not talking about the injured players. Go ahead, Jeff.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah. So my prediction is that the Steelers are going to be really hurting for cornerbacks. I don't see Levi Wallace clearing the concussion protocol, nor do I see Pat Freiermuth. Neither has a full participant on Thursday. That's not likely for them to be cleared, just like Terrell Edmonds. Even he was a full participant twice last week and did not get cleared. So I would be stunned if either.
He was only limited twice.
Who?
Edmonds last week was limited twice.
I thought he was limited and then full twice. Okay.
Nope, he was limited.
So then he's following
when he wasn't full on Friday, I had a feeling he was going to get ruled out on Saturday.
Yeah. So I don't think you're going to have Sutton. You're not going to have Witherspoon again. The dude hasn't even practiced in 2.5 weeks, which is really starting to tick me off because they could have put him on injured reserve if they thought it was this bad and just filled his roster spot, let him rest for 4 weeks, and bring him back. They haven't done that. I don't think Larry O is going to play. It's going to be tough. This is going to be really tough. I do think Gentry's going to play. I wouldn't be shocked if Minka plays. Mason Cole.
Did I say Gentry? Did I skip him?
I
think I skipped him. Yeah, he was a full participant. He went from didn't practice with the knee Wednesday. It was a full participant today. Sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. Let's go to the Tampa Bay side of things.
Okay. You ready? This is just Thursday stuff because I don't have it in a nice little cool chart like I get with the Steelers. Yeah. Cameron Brate, tight end Cameron Brate, concussion, full participant. Wide receiver, Jalen Darden, I guess. Tooth. Have you ever seen Tooth? on an injury report before, but he was a full participant. Quarterback Carlton Davis, hip, full participant. Safety Mike Edwards, elbow, limited. Wide receiver Russell Gage, ankle, limited. Defensive lineman William Golston, rest, didn't practice. Wide receiver Chris Goodwin, hip /knee / rest, didn't participate. Defensive tackle Akeem Hicks, foot, didn't participate. No Julio Jones with a knee, didn't participate. Cornerback Sean Murphy Bunting, quad, didn't participate. Outside linebacker Carl Nassib, illness, full participant, because that was a change from the day before. Wide receiver Brashad Perriman, knee hamstring, full participant. Safety Logan Ryan, foot, did not practice. And tackle Donovan Smith, elbow, limited. Whew, okay.
'Tis the season for long injury reports.
Yes.
Last week, Buffalo. This week, Tampa Bay. All right. Let's do some over-under. Now, you all ready? Brian, you got your little tablet? You ready to transcribe? All right, let's do this. So we're playing the over-under game last week. What are our tallies, Brian? Why don't you go and read that off real quick?
I don't have it in front of me.
I had the most, but I didn't. I caught by one. I caught up with Brian, and we both got closer to you.
Yeah, so I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Jeff has a 2-point lead over both Dave and myself.
Okay. Let's see how things play out this week. We're starting off with Kenneth Shane Pickett, KP8, passing touchdowns against the Buccaneers. I have it at 1.5.
You say KP8?
Yes. What do you think, Dave? Over under.
He doesn't have any yet.
I know. So then staying with that, you say it's under.
That's tough. You know what? I just, you know what? I'm going to go under. I think he might get some plays that gets him down close, and then they punch it in. And it could even be another Kenny Pickett rushing touchdown as well. So I'll go under with the passing.
Okay, Brian.
I got to believe. I'm going to say over and 2.
I'm going with Brian. I'm going to say over with 2. I think that this is a week that they string something together. All right, let's go to Deontay Johnson yards receiving. Yards receiving for DJ. 65.5. Dave, over under.
For Deontay LaMarcus Johnson.
He does not get second.
No. He had it when he signed that contract, but it's gone right now.
Yeah. Well, what was the total?
Oh my gosh, 65.5. Are you listening?
60. I am. Do you realize he's only gone over that one time this year? So I'm going under.
Okay. Brian?
I don't believe in DJ right now, and that hurts me because I was really on his he was on my nice list. I was sticking up for him like crazy, and I'm really off of the bandwagon right now, where I took his jersey out of my overseas cart. So,
oh my gosh,
under.
I'm gonna go.
You forget. I hated Deontay Johnson before hating Deontay Johnson was cool.
Right. You're the OG Deontay Johnson hater.
No, I'm not saying I hate him. I mean, I'm mad at him. He's in timeout. He's in bad.
He's in your doghouse.
He's in the corner.
It's in your doghouse.
Think about what he's done.
Until he busts out, I'm just not ready for him to bust out. Sorry, go ahead, Jeff. What was your pick?
I'm gonna go under. I think he's gonna be around 60, but I'm gonna go with the under as well. Let's go with Pittsburgh Steelers turnovers. So the offense turning the football over. I have the line at 1.5. Dave, what do you think?
Under. They're going to take care of it. They might have one, but I think they're going to. Now, this is just in general, not necessarily just the offense, right?
Pittsburgh Steelers turnovers.
It's the special teams ones have also added up to that as well. So I'm going under.
All right, Brian.
I really want to go under on this, but I'm just going to go with over. It's things have been groggy with this team.
I'm going to go under. I think if they have any prayer, they got to keep it clean. So I'm going to go under. Let's go with Najee Harris total yards, not just rushing. This could be rushing and receiving total yards. I can't believe I'm saying this. 59.5 is where I am right now with Deontay Johnson. 59.5, and that's total
Najee
yards.
Harris.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What did I say?
You said Deontay Johnson. Same kind of deal.
No, yeah. Najee Harris total yards, 59.5 over under, Dave.
Total 59.5.
Where we are right now.
I know, but I mean, he's done it 3 of the 5. You know what? But he's also, they are getting Jaylen Warren more involved as well. 59.5 is a good number. I'm going to say over by a hair. I'm going to say about 62.
Right. Bryan, what do you think?
I keep getting burned by this guy. But 59.5. I mean, come on, he's got to, right? I mean, I don't think I kind of feel like he's hurt, but I mean, they got to throw the ball to him, and they're not throwing it to him. How many targets is he get? I mean, he's not even getting targets. Maybe that's what Dave's saying, that Jaylen Warren's the passing threat. So then you have complete predictability on offense. I'm going to go over slightly, but I'm going to say over.
And just so you know, he's got 15 targets on the season.
Yeah, not as much as last year.
He had 15 targets in week 3 last year.
Yeah. And I mean, he's 13 receptions on 15 targets, but yeah.
The Tampa Bay defense gives up 115 yards, 115.6 on the ground per game. And so I think that the Steelers are going to try to exploit that. They are going to try to run the ball. And I think the total yards Najee's going to do enough to get over that 59.5. I'm going to take the over.
Excuse me. Is that all of us over? Dave, did you go over too?
I went over.
Okay, you did go. Okay,
right,
so let's go with George Pickens. We might have to know his middle name here soon. George Pickens yards. He continues to ascend. He had 102 2 weeks ago. He finished 83 last week. I've got this number at 85.5. The Pickett to Pickens connection has been strong. Dave, over or under 85.5?
Well, I think when it comes to George Malik Pickens Jr., see, and I was trying to find the middle name, so I didn't listen to what your number was.
85.5. 85.5.
You know what? I'm 85. Well, because he had 83 last week, right? You know what? Yes. I'm going over. I'm just because I want to see him continue to go nuts. So I think he'll just continue to get more targets with Kenny Pickett. And if you're giving him 8 targets a game, the chance of him going over that many yards just increases even more.
All right, Bryan.
Man, I really think he's just blasting off. Yeah, he had 83 last week. I'm going to go slightly under, but not by much. I still think he gets in the 70s, but yeah, let me go under.
The Tampa Bay secondary is kind of banged up. Passing, they're the 6th best passing defense, allowing 193.4, but I'm going to go over for George. What was it? Malik. George Malik Pickens. I'm going to take the over. Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, if you would have checked out the more you know in the offseason, you would have known that, Jeff.
I just didn't remember it.
I edit all those articles. I just don't remember all of them.
Well, then it's not putting the impression on you that it needs to do.
It's not sponge-worthy as we're using.
Oh, man, what is with all the Seinfeld references?
All right, let's go to Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers sacks of Tom Brady. I almost went a different way, but I just 1.5 is the number I have. 1.5. Brady's only been sacked, I think, 7 times this season. What do y'all think, Dave? Over under?
Well, you have to say how many times he's going to be sacked, and it's not negated by a penalty. I'm going to go under.
Okay, Bryan.
Crap, I got to go under.
All right, so I listened to Know Your Enemy, and I did the Tampa Bay starting a rookie left guard, and that's Cam Hayward's bread and butter. So I think Cam gets one, maybe Highsmith gets another. I'm going to go over. I'm just going to say that maybe he trips and falls.
I hope you're right. Care. I really do.
I'm just going to go with 2. I'm going to go with 2. So there you go. I'm going to go with the over on 1.5 sacks. Hope I'm right. All right, that's the over-under for this week. Let's talk about the spread. It was 8 the last I saw. Dave, has it moved?
It is 8.
All right, and the over-under?
And the over-under is 45.
Ooh, good numbers. Okay, let's go with you, Dave, first. What's your prediction? How do you see it playing out?
Okay, well, I am probably – maybe my problem is I am very stubborn like Coach Tomlin, and I don't like to change how I do things a whole awful lot. And that could get me in trouble. Now, this team has seen some things that we didn't want to see this year, but I am holding in my hand, and it's funny, I actually forgot what these were. So I had to take a quick pivot here. I'm holding in my hand our predictions that we made game by game when the schedule was released in May.
17-0.
Yeah. Well, 17-0, and then Jeff told me his real one, which had them at 11-6. But when I was looking at it, you guys thought I was crazy, and really, I'm not that far off. Okay, I thought they would be 1-1 after 2 games. I just got which game they were victorious in backwards. Other than that, the only thing that I haven't gotten right is the Jets game. Well, when you think about that, that's technically 3 out of the 5 games. But this is where I thought the Steelers would be. I had the Steelers, no joke, at 3-5 at the bye. That's what I had. Well, they were supposed to win that game against the Jets, and they didn't. So they need to find a win somewhere else. I wasn't going to have them win both of those games with the Jets and the Bucs with the back-to-back. Well, they weren't in back-to-back weeks, but they're 2 home games that were there close to each other. So I thought, yeah, I'll go one with the other. So this time I'm just going off of until I'm still waiting for them to come around and be the team that I was hoping that they would be in the offseason. So I'm holding out hope that they can get back to even be that 3-5 at the bye that I had them to be. And everyone was telling me how I was such a hater because I had them only going 10-7 and how crazy that was. And at the time. So I'm going to have them pull through with a victory here, just because Tampa's defense is really good until Kansas City put up 41 on them. Okay. The Buccaneers offense has not done a very good job of putting up a lot of points. If it wasn't for their defense, they'd be in even more trouble so far. So for some reason, I was there the last time that Tom Brady played in Pittsburgh, and I'm just trying to pull on that. So I'm going to go Steelers 26-23.
Oh my gosh.
What, did I take a score?
That is the exact same score that I have. I wrote it down. I've already recorded on Let's Ride. I have 26-23 Pittsburgh. You got to be.
Now I know it's not going to be right. Sorry,
man. I was going to pick Pittsburgh. I love how Dave spent
Pittsburgh.
I like how Dave spent 5 minutes talking about how he was really close, although he got them all wrong.
Yes,
he was really close in his predictions.
But my point was, I didn't have any crazy ideas that the Steelers were going to have this great record before the bye. I really didn't.
No, I get it.
But I still think, you said that, can they find a way to squeeze out 2 of the next 3? If they do, they're right where I had them, and they have the opportunity to get rolling. I don't even want to, we don't want to talk about that P word. No, it's not potential, Jeff. It's playoffs. That's not what we're talking about. It's just, this is a team that you need to gradually get better. And I don't rule anything out until it's time to be ruled out. Get to the bye. If you can win 2, find a way to squeeze out 2 of the next 3, you're not as bad off as what you think it can be. But that's still a really big ask. But I want to still give them a chance to get to that. So that's why I want to have them win this week.
All right, we know my prediction. Bryan, what's yours?
All right. I feel like a dog lately. And I really do. And we all have pets. I'm sure a lot of you have pets out there. And you have that dog that just waits by the kitchen table, waiting for you to drop something. Just like they might make a little moan. They might wait. And that same dog, when you go out for a Saturday and you're gone all day, they're waiting by the window from minute 1. And they're just waiting and waiting. And what are they waiting for? They know you're coming home in the next 10 minutes. They know you're walking through that door. Then hour goes by, 3 hours go by, 5 hours, 7 goes by, and you finally come home. They thought you were coming home 7 hours ago. And that's how I feel about the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. I feel that they're going to come through, but I find myself disappointed every single week. But it's like, this has got to be the week. This has got to be it. It's going to happen finally. And it's probably not. They're beat up on defense. They're hurting on defense. And it's Tom Brady, the juggernaut. But there's a fairy tale everywhere. And you get that Hollywood ending every once in a while. Are we going to get it this week? Probably not. But I'm still saying it because you saw my pick. I put it in the second that you posted it yesterday. I felt really good about that, Jeff.
Yeah.
And it's 24-20 Steelers.
Love it. Actually, Brian, I'm looking at the article. You said 23-20, but that's fine. I mean,
oh, yes, I did. I'm sorry.
What's 1 point? Who cares? A win's a win. We're not going to complain about it. All right. I just had to look over at the article real quick. Yeah. All right. Very good.
But the thing that Bryan said is like, yeah, the defense is decimated with injuries. I wouldn't even consider saying that I'm going to just go out on a big limb and say that the Steelers are going to shock the NFC by winning this game. It's just something about KP8 that you just feel like that guy just can. There's something he can do, and he kind of had it taken away from him a little bit last week to where they were out of it so much. I'm looking for that opportunity for him to do something in a start the whole way through where they're in a game and see if he's got that moxie to finish it off. That's all I'm betting on right now, because what else are we wanting to see right now?
Well, here's the thing. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, you guys are homers and stuff." Well, yeah, we're fans of the team. If you want negativity, go follow those idiot beat writers that seem like they always want to find any way to crap on the team. That's not my MO, at least. I've always said I'm a homer. I'm always going to pick for the Steelers. If you don't like it, then don't go to the casino and bet on my pick. Like, that's all you got to do. I mean, seriously, let's not take ourselves so serious. All right, we have trivia, right, Brian? You're ready?
Yes, I am.
All right, go for it.
All right, so we're talking about last week. We talked about a former Steeler that went to another team, the Buffalo Bills, the upcoming opponent, and was an All-Pro. Well, we've got another one. This time it was not a trade, but we have one that not just a Pro Bowler 5 times. He was an All-Pro 3 times and a very great player. He was a good player with Pittsburgh, became an all-90s player when he went to Tampa Bay. Who is that man?
Oh, that's easy, right, Jeff? You got it?
No clue. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, the low-hanging fruit. So this makes me think that this isn't the answer, because Brian's setting us up to say that it's Hardy Nickerson.
It's Hardy Nickerson.
Okay.
Yeah, really good job, Dave. All right.
No, yeah, I was afraid. I was afraid you were setting me up to, like, you think it's Hardy Nickerson, but no. Hardy Nickerson was good with the Steelers, but then he was really good with the Bucs.
Now, I could have set you up.
Okay.
In a way, same time, he wasn't an all-90s player, but he ended up going to a Pro Bowl with Tampa Bay in the 90s, but he went to another team first. Then he went to Tampa. Do you know who that is?
Pro Bowl was with the Steelers, then went somewhere else, and then went to Tampa and was a Pro Bowler. I don't know that I know that one.
I don't know.
He was a guy that I was afraid that was going to be paralyzed every time he hit, because he was a torpedo. I'm not talking Donnie Shell. I'm talking Thomas Everett.
Wouldn't have gotten that one.
No, I wouldn't have either.
All right. I have a real quick one.
Okay.
This was a really cool anniversary for the Tampa Bay Pittsburgh rivalry, I guess you want to call it that. And that was the stiff arm heard around the world. Monday Night Football, Vance McDonald. He stiff armed what player?
Chris Conti.
Very good. And that actually ended his season, I think, because he actually was banged up and he hurt his knee on that play or something, and he was done for the year.
Sorry for jumping on you, Dave.
Oh,
he
no.
got slammed into next week, actually the end of the season. But that was it. So that was like an anniversary. I think it was like, what was that, 2018?
That was 4 years ago.
It was 19, wasn't it? No, it was 18.
No, it was 18, yeah, because Ben threw the pass.
Yeah. And they play every 4 years.
Yep.
Good memory.
And that was week 3 on Monday Night Football.
Yeah. Man. Anyways.
Yeah.
All right. Dave, your trivia. Go
okay.
for it.
This is going to be Jeff first because I can all but guarantee that Bryan absolutely has this question crushed.
Oh.
But the Steelers currently are 1-4. Okay.
Yes.
We know that the Steelers have started 1-4. In recent years, they did in 2013 with Le'Veon Bell. His rookie year, they started at 0-4, and then they finally got a win to go to 1-4, and then they got another one to go to 2-4. The Steelers also started 1-4 in 2019 when Ben Roethlisberger was hurt, but neither of those seasons did the Steelers drop to 1-5. Since the NFL merger, what are the 2 seasons where the Pittsburgh Steelers started 1-5?
Since the merger?
Yeah. And I completely screwed up this question because my question was going to be how many times did they? And I already said what are the 2 seasons. So it was twice. What are the 2 seasons?
So I've got the first part. I've got two seasons. I got that part right. Bryan, go ahead. You got.
Do you have any idea what seasons they were? I know Bryan. I hear Jeff. I'll give you a hint. Bryan already referenced one of these seasons earlier in the show.
My brain is fried today. I really have no mental thought right now. Bryan, do you know this answer?
Yeah, it's got to be 1988.
1988 is the most recent,
and it would have to be 1969.
No, this was since the merger.
Oh, so you're counting the merger as 70.
Wasn't the merger in 70? Yeah. So it wasn't Super Bowl era. It was merger, which was 70.
So I would have to say 70 then.
They did not start that bad in 70.
Let me give you one more.
Okay.
86.
It was actually in 1986 where the Steelers started 1-5. And actually, in both of those seasons, they started 1-6. So they went even beyond the 1-5, 1-6. And the 88 was so bad. Bryan, what was their overall record in 88?
5-11.
Yes, they were 5-11, but everyone thought they were going to be getting the number 1 pick because 12 games in, they were a whole whopping 2-10, and then won 3 of the last 4.
And I referenced that at the beginning of the show too.
Yes, you did.
3-4.
Yep. So, yeah. So it's happened before. I'm just hoping that this week they don't join that illustrious club of the 1-5 starts.
All right. Good trivia. Good stuff, guys. Bryan, why don't you do your final thoughts?
All right. So I have 2 quick final thoughts. The first one is we all have seen Tom Brady getting the gifts over the years. If you breathe, the joke has been if you breathe on him, you're going to get a yellow flag thrown in your face. Can that really happen again this week? I'm telling you what, the NFL, they're in an outrage, but the fans are. And if they're not looking at these officials right now for that joke that not just happened with Tom Brady last week, it happened on the Monday Night Football with Chris Jones in Kansas City. But the thing is, Kansas City ended up winning their game. Atlanta got royally, man, they got screwed. They really did. Is that going to happen again this week? Are they going to let that happen in Pittsburgh? I think if you have any chance to have a clean, true game against Tom Brady, it's going to be this week because all eyes are on these officials. I would be shocked if he gets the borderline calls like he normally does just because of this week, because there's going to be some problems if he does. The last part of my final thoughts is, look, I talked about the possibility of finger pointing a little bit earlier. It's time for Deontay Johnson, more than anybody, to step up and not to just earn his contract. That's not what I'm talking about. When he got that contract, he got the responsibility of being a team leader. And he also, that was true from the Steelers saying, we count on you. And we know that you're the guy. You've got to be the guy now. And coming up with excuses, coming up with, hey, you're going to watch us anyways, that's not the kind of attitude that Pittsburgh Steelers fans are going to rally to. They're going to rally for the James Daniels. They're going to rally for the guys that are fighting. They see no fight right now in Deontay Johnson. Do I believe that Deontay Johnson has a special talent? Absolutely. I think he is a very good wide receiver that is not doing what he needs to do. I think he's having mental lapses out there, and I don't know if he's taking things as seriously as he did as a rookie and when he had trouble in the second year by dropping balls at the end of that season. Now, he's dropping balls at the beginning of the season, and that's a problem. This team needs a hero, and my gosh, it's got to be Deontay Johnson. You've got to get the fight in you. I think you're good. I think you're going to play better, but don't go that hole that everybody's disrespecting me and the media and the fans. Don't do that. Just go out and play.
All right, good stuff. Dave, final thoughts.
Yeah, it's funny. I brought up those years with trivia of the 86 and the 88. That's when I first started being a Steelers fan, because that's when I was 8 and 10 years old. So to me, when I starting in that era, and I've said this before, I'm one of the few people that I meet that I started being a Steelers fan when Mark Malone was the quarterback. I don't have the glory of the 70s, and I started at a time where the Steelers were not very good at all. So expecting them to be good, and what they've been the last 20 years is still a surprise for me. But this is a team that they can be good again if they just start putting things together, whether it be this year, next year, 2 to 3 years, like Jeff likes to refer to. That's what it could be. But it all comes down to playing precisely. And also, and not just the players. We said it in the post-game show. There was lots of blame to go around from last week's debacle, from the coaches to the players to everything. No one was immune from it. And we say you want the players to be more crisp. You know what else we want? Teams don't like it when the Steelers run on first down and gain nothing. They're like, why do they keep doing that? But you know what? They do love it on the times, and it's happened 19 times this season, when the Steelers run the ball on first down and they get 5 to 15 yards. That's when you do love it. And you're like, so what's the difference? Is it all outcome based? To me, it's not even that. It's don't come out and with your personnel and your formation, have everyone know what you're going to do. There's no reason to keep doing that. Mix it up, get your players excited about something different, because I know when I was coaching, and Jeff probably knows it, the kids loved, remember I was coaching high school, so it was kids. They loved when we would practice a trick play. They would love it. Oh, they couldn't wait to say, can we run it in the game, coach, and things like that. Those are the kind of things, just these other little things to be excitement. If you keep going with the same mundane thing and you're having terrible results, it's really hard to continue to lay your heart and soul on the line every play like someone like Cam Hayward does. So it's the players need to sharpen up everything that they're doing on the field, and the coaches mix it up a little bit. Don't be so predictive, and go out there, play hard, and win a game.
Play hard. There you go.
I gotta say it.
There you gotta say. All right, good stuff, everyone. Great show, guys. We will be back next week for another episode of the Steelers Preview, getting you geared up for Sunday Night Football, right? Did they play on Sunday night against Miami?
Yep.
Yes, that's right.
And you know what that is? That is going to be the 50th anniversary of the 1972 team. And so it's good. They're going to be all kinds of excited in Miami.
I call that the Brian Flores revenge game.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
All right, so good show. We will see you all next week. Dave, why don't you send us out?
Hey.
Take it easy, everyone.
everybody else gets a little tight,